All right, so now we've done our floorboards, okay? And if you were just doing wood panels, this is exactly what you would do to finish these up. If you wanted to do tiles, there's really just one more step, and it's really super easy, okay? All you need to do is, again, kind of use that X marks the center, idea that we talked about. But you don't actually have to draw both sides of the X. If you just draw one diagonal line, okay, across your floor like that, this is going to be enough for us, okay? So I've got this diagonal line here drawn across, and you should too, okay? And what I'm going to do here is each time this diagonal line crosses a floorboard line, I'm going to draw a horizontal line across, and that's what's going to give us our tiles in the floor, okay? So right here it crosses, so I put a horizontal line. Right here it crosses, so I'm going to put a horizontal line, and so on all the way down the page. And my ruler slipped. Yours probably will too. It's okay, not a big deal. Just hold it tight when you're doing it. Okay, and by doing this method, what this actually does is this makes our tiles look like they're in perspective. Like as they get closer to us, they look bigger. Okay? As they get closer to us, they look bigger. If they're further back towards the back wall, they look smaller. Yes, ma'am? You don't have to, but for this purpose, I would go ahead and do it just so you kind of get the idea, because you may use this for something else. Maybe you use it on a rug or a poster or something with checkerboard, or maybe you would want to have ceiling tiles later on. This is the same method you would do, okay? Okay, so if you wanted to do ceiling tiles, you'd do the exact same thing except on the ceiling, okay? If you wanted to do a tiled ceiling. All right, and then at this point, you can go back and erase this diagonal line. That's why you want to do these things lightly. All right. Okay, so now what we're going to look at is a skylight. Okay, we're going to throw a skylight in the ceiling. Real simple, pretty easy, and it starts out the same basic way as our window did. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a horizontal line up here on my ceiling, and then on each side of that horizontal line, we're going to go down to the vanishing point. Just like that. Now my skylight's going to be gigantic, okay? It's going to cover most of my ceiling. If you wanted to do one smaller, it's the same thing. You just don't draw your lines as big, okay? Now the next thing that I need to do is put my back line on there, like so, okay? And erase the leftovers of these vanishing point lines. So this is kind of where we're at right now. Okay, thumbs up when you're here. Keep them up too so I can see. All right, so I don't go too fast for you. Good. All right. Good. All right. So to make this actually look like a skylight, we got to think about how a skylight works first of all, and know that usually what happens is a skylight isn't a solid glass plank right on our ceiling. Usually what it is it's cut out and it's kind of a box that goes up on top of our roof. Okay. So we want to kind of draw it how it would actually look so you can tell what it actually is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a vertical line from this corner here. And I'm going to draw a vertical line from this corner here. And then I'm going to connect the two with a horizontal line. Okay, go ahead and get to this point. Give me a thumbs up when you're there. Okay, and if you ever get to a point where you're kind of stuck and you're like, well, I'm not really sure where to go from here, or if something's looking weird, think back to your perspective rules. You can only have a certain type of line in there. We've got 5 things that every drawing's going to have, and if it's not one of those 5 things, it's not going to work. We've got our vanishing point, which is already there, our horizon line, okay? We'll have horizontal lines, we'll have vertical lines, and then what's our last type of line? They're the ones that go to our vanishing point. So we'll have vanishing point lines as well. So from here, what we're going to do is these corners are going to line up with our vanishing point, like so. Okay? And so this almost makes it look like there's a box on top of our roof. If you wanted to, you could add like a kind of a domed effect like this. Some of them kind of bubble out, some of them are flat. Okay, it just depends on which one they are. The older ones, I think, are kind of domed out. You could also add up here, if you wanted to, like some clouds or a bird flying by, just to show that it's outside and you can see out there. Okay, or maybe even a plane flying by, something like that. It could be outer space. Okay, maybe your room is underwater and there's fish swimming by. Okay, there's really unlimited things that it could be. Okay, all right, let's look here at putting in some actual 3D objects into our room. We've done everything in perspective, but we haven't built any furniture yet. Okay, we don't have anything that's taking up our space. It's like we bought a house that was too expensive and we can't furnish it. Okay, you never want to do that. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a bed in here. First thing, let's just make this a bedroom. Okay, and again, when you're making objects and putting objects in your room, you want to look at your horizon line because that's our eye level. Okay, it's going to show us how tall or short things should be. Okay, so in comparison to our horizon line, this is where our doorknob is at. Okay, so if you look over at the closet over there, our bed's usually as tall as that doorknob. Usually not for the mattress height. Okay, the mattress height usually isn't that high. Maybe the bed frame, or what is it, the headboard? Maybe the headboard's taller than that, but not usually the mattress. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it to where it's lower than the handle. So what I want to have here is I'm going to start on my back wall, and I'm going to have the bed here coming out into our space. Okay, and you could later on, if you wanted to, you could draw your bed going this way, or maybe it's centered and coming out here into the room space. It's really up to you how you do it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a horizontal line coming over here, and then a vertical line right here. And I'm going to make like a twin size bed. And this back wall is as far as it can go. Okay, so what I want to do, I've done horizontals, I've done verticals. What other kind of line can I draw? Vanishing point lines. Okay, horizontal is right as long as it's to our vanishing point. If it's just a random horizontal line, like how my ruler's set up now, that's not going to be correct. Okay, it's going to look like it's tilted. Okay, so what I'm going to do I'm going to line up with these three corners. Okay, and I'm just going to draw my lines all the way off my page for right now. I can decide where I want it to stop later. Okay, so I'm going to just draw it off the edge of the box for now. Okay, like so. And maybe I want this to be a really long bed that actually comes into the viewer's space. So maybe what I'm going to do is maybe I'll put my front side, the vertical side, like right here. Okay. So if I've got a vertical line here, remember the front matches the back. Okay. And it's actually coming off the page. I should have a horizontal line right here. The front matches the back. If I have a horizontal line there, I should have a horizontal line up here. Okay. Now all these lines inside here can be erased because more than likely you're not going to have a transparent bed. Okay. So we're going to erase all these lines in here. And you can erase these that go off the edge if you want to. And this is what we're left with for right now. Okay. This doesn't look like a bed yet. It looks like a big solid stone or something like that. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you're at this point too. I don't want to go too quick. Thumbs up if you're there. Put them where I can see them. And if you get behind a little bit, that's okay. We can review it again a little bit later. Okay, so to make this thing look a little bit softer, what you can do is just kind of round out your corners a little bit. Something like that. Okay. And then you can put a headboard on at the top of your bed. However you want it to look, really. It doesn't really matter. Think about, again, your eye level. Is your headboard going to be at eye level? If it is, that's fine. Some of them are really tall. Some of them aren't as tall. It just kind of depends on your bed. Okay? You can put that headboard on there. You can throw a pillow on there. Don't get too detailed with this. This is just practice, though. Okay? Yeah, I will in just a minute, okay? Last thing that we're going to put in is going to be a table, okay? It's the last thing we're going to do today. Same thing as we started with the bed. We're going to have a rectangle on the back wall, okay? And it's going to be taller than our bed, because think about a normal table height. And mine's going to be kind of a square-ish table. We're going to put our vanishing point lines coming out into the space. Like so. Okay. Now the other thing that we kind of got to pay attention to as well is where our table is in comparison to the door. We want to make sure the door could still open. So here's the floor lines. I'm going to go right up here, and this is where my table legs are going to be. Right about here. I'm going to come over here. It should be the same thing. Put a horizontal line at the top. Okay, you can beef up your table a little bit, make the legs actually look like legs and not just lines. Okay, and that's kind of where we're at. You can erase